All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us on this meeting webinar, which is called a Detox Diet for Mental and Physical Health with Andrea Bremner. Now, for those of you who have got the video or sound on, you'll know that I'm not Andrea Bremner, but she's in the top left-hand corner of my screen. Hi, Andrea.
Hi, that's me.
How are you? All right?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. So I'm Nick Shrimpton. The reason why I'm here is because I'm a marketing specialist, and I've got the pleasure of working with Andrea, helping to develop her business and her brand, which is Belly Brain Solutions, which is, we thought, quite a catchy title. So why and what is Belly Brain Solutions? Well, if you imagine a triangle, and at each point of the triangle there is physical health, mental health and gut health, then there is a significant interrelationship between all of those three elements. And in relation to gut health, nutrition is absolutely key to good mental and physical well-being. Andrea is, and she wouldn't say so herself, but I can say is an absolute expert in the area of nutritional therapy. But she's also an NLP, which is a neuro-linguistic programming coach. Is that right, Andrea?
Yes, that's me.
So that means that she's absolutely uniquely placed to lead people on a journey from a place where perhaps their physical and mental health isn't great, and using the path of good gut health, leading them to a place of far greater happiness and fulfillment. So let me just do some housekeeping notes about what we're going to do in the next 45 minutes or so. So we think 3/4 of an hour. If we overrun slightly and you need to leave before the end, that's no problem. But the plan is for us to do 45 minutes. And the first half an hour will be Andrea sharing her expertise on this subject of gut health with us very, very shortly. The final few things from me are we will take questions afterwards. So please do use the chat box at the bottom of the screen to put your questions in, and I will act as sort of the Q&A guy at the end, putting those questions to Andrea so she can reply to them. As well, it would be great if you're able to put your name and perhaps email address in that chat as well. Just send it to the host rather than to everybody, just so that that we can keep in touch with you afterwards if this topic is of interest. And I think that's all from me in terms of the intro and the housekeeping. So the last thing I need to do is just to do something technical on the screen to make Andrea the host so she can run you through the presentation, which I've just done. So Andrea, unless I've missed something in the beginning, I think it's over to you for the next 30 minutes.
I was just going to mute, if everyone can mute themselves. That would be great.
Good
if we
idea.
don't have any feedback. I think everyone's muted now. Yeah, that's it. Excellent.
Yeah, well done.
Oh, no, one more. There we go. No, that's
me
done.
as well.
Brilliant. Yes, so thanks very much for that introduction, Nick, and welcome everyone. Lovely to see you all today, and I'm delighted to be able to talk to you on one of my favourite topics, which is detoxing our body and how that will have a huge impact on our mental and our physical well-being. And I don't know about you, but when I first started to hear about gut health and a detox diet in particular about 20 years ago, I just thought, well, I don't need to do that. Why do you need to detox? You know, if you just eat healthily and exercise, then your body should do the rest. Well, unfortunately, I was wrong. And the reason why I knew I was wrong is because I was actually eating a pretty healthy diet and I was exercising, but I wasn't well. And I came across a lot of other people in the same situation who were eating what they thought was a healthy diet and they were exercising, but they weren't well either, and they were feeling tired, or they had headaches, or they had some kind of disorder that they were struggling with. So I knew it wasn't just to do with eating the right food and exercising. There's a lot more to it. And then I discovered gut health and the importance of detoxing. So this is really what I'm going to take you through today. So why is detoxing important? Well, We live amongst a huge amount of toxins in our environment compared to what the caveman lived with, and also even to what our ancestors, our mothers and our grandmothers lived with, our grandparents lived with, even up to 50 years ago. The different amount of toxins that we're now faced with is unbelievable. The latest bit of research I read is that there are 57,000 more toxins in our environment than there were 70 years ago. And this is what we're battling with. And these toxins obviously come in pollution, which we're all fully aware of. But there are other toxins as well, toxins in our home, just toxins that's in our carpets, in our curtains, toxins in our cleaning products, toxin in our hair shampoos, toxins in our toothpaste. You know, there are lots of other toxins, these chemicals that weren't around 70 years ago that we're all having to battle with now. And the thing is, these toxins are ingested by us. Either we breathe them in and they get stuck in the mucous lining of our nasal passages, or we breathe them in, they get stuck in our throat. Eventually, at some point, we will swallow them and they do end up in our gut. Our gut is the most amazing thing. It stretches from mouth to anus, and though that is only about, I don't know, 80 centimeters, it actually is 9 meters long, that tube that's inside us. And if we were going to take it out and spread it flat, it would be the size of a tennis court. So it's a huge surface area that we're dealing with. What is fascinating in this tube is a whole load of bacteria and funguses and viruses all live in here. And this is called our microbiome. And we have 90 trillion microbes that live inside our body and over our body. And these are responsible for keeping us well. And how do they keep us well? Well, these microbes, they outnumber our human cells by 10 to 1. So we have 10 times more microbes than we have human cells. If we look at the genetics, they actually have a huge genetic makeup. We have 27,000 human genes, which sounds like quite a lot, but it's not very much really when you find out that a fruit fly has 37,000 genes and a rice plant has 42,000 genes. We only have 27. So how do we run this very complicated body with such a small number of genes? Well, the reason is that our microbiome, this 90 trillion microbes that we house in us and over us, actually has 4.4 million genes. So though we are 10% human by cell count, by gene count, we're actually only 1% human. 99% of our genetic makeup is our microbes. And they're responsible for synthesizing our vitamins, for digesting our food. And one of their major jobs is to maintain the integrity of the gut wall. And the gut wall in some places is only 1 cell thick. So it's only 1 cell that's protecting us from the outside world and what's getting into the inside world. And this microbiome actually works alongside the wall to protect it. Right inside our gut wall are 3 very important systems. Number 1 is our nervous system. So we have a huge nervous system that sits inside our gut, and it's called the enteric nervous system. It has almost as many neurons as our brain. And scientists are now calling our gut our second brain, because actually it houses huge intelligence and actually communicates with our brain. And it's something called the gut-brain axis, which we'll all be aware of, because if we get anxious or nervous of something, we feel it immediately in our stomach, and it works the other way around. So if our gut's upset, it's going to communicate that to the brain. So the enteric nervous system is really important. What's fascinating is that within our gut are lots of our hormones, lots of our neurotransmitters are made. And one neurotransmitter in particular, serotonin, which you may have heard of, which is our happy neurotransmitter, which makes us feel at peace with the world, 90% of that is made in our gut. So you can understand, if we've got these toxins in our gut that's causing problems with the nervous system, then our serotonin levels are going to be diminished, and hence it's going to make us not feel so great. And there is a big link between depression and anxiety and serotonin levels. So that's just one system that the gut communicates with. The second system is the endocrine system, which is our hormones. So our gut houses the largest endocrine organ in the body. So when we think of our hormones that are being produced, we might just think of reproductive hormones, but obviously there's a whole load of other different hormones like cortisol, like adrenaline, like thyroid. And all of these are made in large quantities in the gut. So if we can understand now that if our gut is toxic and the microbiome of our gut is toxic, then obviously our hormone production is going to be upset. So being able to detox our gut is so important to hormone production. The third system that's really important is our immune system. So our immune system is 80% of it is housed in the gut. So, and it makes sense that 80% of our immune cells will be there, because this size of a tennis court, this 9-meter tube, is what protects us from what we're putting in from the outside world to what gets to the inside world. So it makes sense that our immune system is going to line our gut. And obviously, if our gut is toxic, then the immune system is going to be reacting all the time. And what happens when the immune system spots a toxin? It sends off an inflammatory response. We'll all know what this is like. When you cut your finger, it might go a bit red and a bit inflamed and a bit swollen, a bit hot. That's what happens to your gut. So if your gut is toxic, then it will send off an inflammatory response. But this inflammation won't just be in the gut, because the gut is linked directly also to the blood supply. These toxins will get straight, these inflammatory markers will go straight into the blood system, and they will then travel all around the body. And this inflammation can go into the brain, inflammation can go into our joints, it can affect any system within our body. So those three systems is really the reason why we need to get these toxins out of our body. So for me, whether you want to lose weight, or whether you're suffering from menopausal symptoms, or whether you're suffering from anxiety, or whether you have digestive disorders, any of those things, or even if you feel well, I still think that it's important that we do some kind of detox to get the toxins out of our body, particularly if it's weight loss that you're after, because our toxins are stored in our fat cells. That's where the liver stores our toxins in our body. And the thing is, the liver won't burn a toxic fat cell. It will prefer to burn muscle and bone before it burns anything else. It will not burn this toxic fat cell. So if you want to lose weight and lose weight permanently, you need to detoxify first, get the toxins out of your fat cells so that the liver can actually burn them for energy. So this 21-day detox diet that I tend to follow, I've been doing for the last couple of years now, is mainly focused on eliminating inflammatory foods from our diet and taking 5 different supplements. And these supplements are all key in getting toxins out of our body and putting goodness back into the body. So I'm now going to, here we go. I'm just going to put a slide up for you. So let me just share my screen. And I'm going to put this one up. So hopefully you can all see that on my screen. Let me just pull that out of the way. Excellent. So one of the, alongside all these toxins that are in, toxins in our environment and toxins in our homes, the other big toxin, which is in our food, is sugar. Probably one of the biggest toxins for our gut is sugar. And also I put down here and crap. And crap is actually an acronym which stands for calorie rich and processed foods. Unfortunately, in the Western world, we spend most of our time eating this kind of food. Our food is very high in sugar and very high in calorie rich and processed foods. Unfortunately, our mitochondria in our cells, which are the powerhouses of our cells, would prefer to burn fat as an energy source than they would to burn sugar. If we look at the basics of our cells, we're just made up of trillions of cells. And though the cells are different, like an eye cell will be different to a blood cell, different to a skin cell, different to a liver cell, they all have a basic structure. And within this basic structure is what's called mitochondria. And mitochondria actually produce energy, which is what we're all after, really, isn't it? To feel energized and to feel good. And that's really what mitochondria do. Mitochondria love fuel in the form of fat. And obviously the way that we can get that in is by eating unsaturated fats, saturated fats, and eating fiber. So you think, well, why would fiber give us fat? Well, I'll tell you why. Fiber is actually indigestible by us. It's fiber is what we will get in our fruits and vegetables. Our body cannot digest fiber. But the reason why we eat it is because it feeds our microbiome. So our microbiome, a large volume of them, the good ones, sit in our colon, and they need to be fed to keep us well. And they feast on fiber. And when they eat fiber, they break it down. And they break it down into short chain fatty acids. And these fatty acids are things like butyrate, acetate, propionate, and these actually get absorbed into the bloodstream. And it's these fatty acids that feed the mitochondria that give us energy. So fat and fiber are the best sources of food to give us energy. So, and the thing is with sugar and calorie-rich and processed foods, they're very toxic, because what do? They give us they get sugar, goes straight into the bloodstream, we get a spike of sugar, insulin is produced, and then the insulin is removes the sugar and takes it into the muscle. And then we get a dip in sugar, so we get an energy low. And we spend our whole day going through sugar high, sugar low, sugar high, sugar low. So we get energy burst, and then we get a dip, an energy burst, and then we get a dip. When we get a dip, we crave sugar to give us the energy to get back up again. Whereas if we take sugar out of our diet, our blood sugar level stabilizes. So we don't get these energy highs and energy lows. We just feel good all the time. So one of the big things that we eliminate is sugar. The aim here really is to try and keep our carbohydrate intake down to 10% or less. If you can keep it to 5%, even better. So if you look at your nutrition labels, it will tell you, it'll give you a breakdown of carbohydrate, protein, fat, fiber, vitamins and minerals in 100 grams. You want to be looking at between 5 and 10 grams of carbohydrate, not more than that. And that will mean that you're having a very low sugar, low carbohydrate diet. Obviously, in the 21 days, there's no alcohol, because alcohol is high in sugar and also highly toxic. I mean, these hand sanitizers that we're all using at the moment they're just high in alcohol. And what does alcohol do? Kills viruses and bacteria. So if we're putting alcohol into our body, we're nuking our microbiome. So for 21 days, no alcohol either. And the other thing that's really important to note here is no artificial sweeteners. Because even though you might think, well, I won't have sugar, I'll have an artificial sweetener instead, that is toxic for the body and damages the microbiome. And to be honest, you still get the spike of insulin. You'll still get a spike of sugar and a production of insulin, even by taking artificial sweeteners. So the best drinks for us on this 21-day program and beyond really is water, maybe some sparkling water if you'd like that, and then like your herbal teas and things like that as well. And in water, I always get my clients to add some freshly cut lemon, or add some oranges to it, or some cucumber, make it a bit more flavorable. So that's really the one thing that we're eliminating. The next thing we're eliminating is starchy carbohydrates. We eliminate these because these just break down to sugar, one of the biggest toxins in our gut. They eventually come out as glucose. Starchy carbohydrates are things like potatoes, all our grains. And what's good about taking grains out of our diet is we take gluten out. So gluten is found in wheat, barley and rye, and gluten can be seen as very toxic to the gut as well. So we take grains completely out of the diet. In fact, the starchiest I recommend for my customers to go to is a butternut squash, would be the starchiest. Maybe celeriac as well is another good substitute. You can have legumes, so lentils, and beans are okay, though again, beans can be very carbohydrate rich. In fact, the lowest carbohydrate bean that I'm aware of is the black bean. So again, sticking to that. A lot of my clients say, oh my God, what about bread? My staple diet is bread. I have toast in the morning, I have sandwiches for lunch. Well, I have a new wonderful recipe, which I call PK bread, which is paleo keto bread. And it's made with just 4 ingredients. It is linseed, psyllium husk, salt and water. I have a fantastic recipe. So again, if you want to have your bread, you can have it on this 21-day program. So that's the second thing that we eliminate. Third thing we eliminate is dairy. The reason why we take dairy out of our diet is because lactose, which is the sugar in dairy, and also casein, which is the protein, are very inflammatory to the gut. Our bodies struggle to digest them. And we used to be able to digest them when we actually drank them neat from the cow before pasteurization. But since it's been pasteurized, all the bioactive and live ingredients as milk is basically nuked. And these bioactive ingredients are there to help us digest it. But now we're drinking pasteurized milk, and hence our body is struggling to digest it. So dairy is out, particularly milk. So I recommend to have all the different nut milks that are actually on the market now. I tend to stick to almond and soya myself, but there are many out there for you to choose from. I've got there on the slide saying except fermented. If you want to have some fermented cheeses or maybe kefir, then that is okay to have. But again, I try and stick off it if you can. A fermented cheese would be feta cheese. Cottage cheese is also a fermented cheese. But trying to keep that out of the diet is really, do that as much as you can. So that's dairy. Things that you can include, though, is vegan products. So you can have some soya butter if you wanted to. You could also have some vegan cheese. So there's quite good vegan cheese on the market. One of them is called Block, which is like a cheddar cheese. And again, it's made out of soya. So that's okay for us to have on this program. And the last thing that needs to come out that most people groan at is caffeine. Oh my God, how am I going to survive without my hit of caffeine? Well, you'll find throughout all these things that once you've been off them for 3 or 4 days, you won't need them anymore. The cravings will be there for 3 or 4 days, and then they will stop and you will not need them. If you are a caffeine drinker, then I can recommend decaffeinated coffee or tea, but make sure you're buying the Swiss washed method of decaffeination, because if you're having decaffeinated coffee or tea, a lot of it is actually made by chemicals. It's chemicals that are used to take the caffeine out, whereas the Swiss wash method is a pure method, just using carbonated water to wash the caffeine out. So they're the sort of 4 main things that we are eliminating on the 21-day program. And to be honest, I say it's a 21-day program, but most people continue with it after the program as well, because they feel so much better that they just continue with eating foods from this list and taking out all the bad foods. As I said, there are 5 nutrient-rich supplements that we have on this program. Now, let me talk a little bit about supplements. Again, I was a skeptic about supplements. We don't need supplements. As long as you're eating lots of fruits and vegetables, then you're getting plenty of minerals and vitamins in your diet. You don't need supplements. Wrong. Why? Because our vitamins and minerals in our fruits and vegetables are very depleted and deficient compared to what they were 70 years ago. And this is because the microbiome of our soil has been damaged. It's been damaged with the insecticides and the pesticides and the fertilizers and the herbicides that are sprayed all over our crops that we are unfortunately ingesting, but also this is being washed into the soil. And these are there to kill off bacteria and viruses and funguses. But obviously the microbiome of the soil, it has its own microbiome. And this has been damaged with all these chemicals that we've put onto the soil. And hence the nutrients in our crops isn't as good as it was. And in fact, a bit of research I read recently, a piece of research out of Switzerland, says that a salad, that if you had a salad in the 1940s, to get the same amount of nutrients in that salad in today's food, you would have to eat 29 of them. So 29 bowls of salad to get the same amount of vitamins and minerals that you would have done to have one bowl of it in the 1940s. So we do need to supplement. We are all vitamin and mineral deficient. So in this program, we take a magnesium supplement. We are all deficient in magnesium. Magnesium works together with calcium to get into our bones to make our bones strong. There's one other thing it needs with this is vitamin D3. If you haven't got enough D3, you won't be absorbing any calcium or magnesium into your bones. But the magnesium supplement comes with prune powder and apple pectin. The reason why it's with that is one thing that magnesium does is it helps with muscle contractions. To get food moving along your bowels, there's a muscular contraction that occurs called peristalsis. If you cast your mind back to your biology lessons at school, peristalsis is what moves the food along, and this is a muscular contraction that does this. Magnesium helps with that muscular contraction, so it helps eliminate waste from our body. Together with prune powder and apple pectin, well, it does what it says on the tin, it gets things moving. And what we're trying to do is eliminate toxins from our body. We eliminate toxins through 4 methods. It's called PURE: perspiration, urination, respiration, and excretion. So we want to have these 4 things completely open up. So perspiration and respiration in particular is through exercise. So if we're exercising, even if it's just gentle walking, whatever, as long as we're sweating a bit, we are getting toxins out of our body. Obviously through urination, drinking lots of water to help flush the toxins out, and excretion by having proper things in our system, or like magnesium, that help us to excrete toxic waste. So that's one supplement that we're taking. The next supplement we're taking is zinc with glutamine. And what zinc does is it attaches to heavy metals in our body. So within our body, we have a lot of toxins, a lot of toxic metals like lead, aluminium, cadmium, mercury. We also have arsenic, we have plastics. These are all inside our body. And what zinc does is it attaches to these and draws them out of the body through excretion. So there's a high zinc supplement. And there's also, in this supplement is glutamine. What glutamine does is it helps to heal the gut. So our gut wall should be all nice and neat, all the cells packed tightly together, but because of damage to our microbiome and hence damage to the gut wall, we're all suffering from something called leaky gut, which is intestinal permeability, which means we have gaps in our gut, which is allowing toxins to get into the bloodstream. What glutamine does is it literally plugs the holes in leaky gut and heals our gut for us. So that's the second supplement that we take. The third one we take is a shake. It's a nutritional shake, a protein shake, but it is packed full of vitamins, minerals, fatty acids, amino acids, and fiber. And you can take this for breakfast and take it for lunch, and it will completely fill you up, particularly if people who want to lose weight, one of their goals is to lose weight. The Biome Shake is something that they sometimes continue with well after the program. The fourth supplement we take are pre and probiotic. So our probiotics is our microbiome, it's bacteria. And in this supplement, there are 2 million CFUs, which stands for colony forming units. And the bacteria we put in is called Bacillus coagulans. And this is a dormant spore that becomes alive in our gut and starts colonizing immediately and provides the right environment for other good bacteria to colonize, and also kills off bad bacteria. It comes together with something called inulin, which is a fiber. It's a prebiotic. It's a food for the bacteria, a food for the probiotics. So that's the fourth supplement that we take. And the last one is something called L-arginine. L-arginine is an essential amino acid. We have 9 essential amino acids. Amino acids are proteins that we need in our body. We have 9 essential ones, which means that we can't produce them. We have to eat them. And L-arginine is one of those. A couple of scientists in 1998 won the Nobel Prize for medicine for the discovery of L-arginine and nitric oxide therapy. And what that is nitric oxide therapy. L-arginine actually converts into nitric oxide, and nitric oxide increases blood flow in the body. It increases blood flow by relaxing the blood vessels, by clearing away plaque and cholesterol on the inside of the blood vessels, and also making the blood itself more flexible so it can squeeze through our capillaries and get more oxygen to our body. The reason why this is in the program is what we're trying to do is get good stuff into our body, which is through the blood, and get toxins out of our body, which is through the blood. So these are the 5 supplements that we're taking in this program. And that's what it looks like. That's exactly what you receive when you start the program. What to expect. So how do we feel on this? Well, at the start of it, you won't feel too good, trust me. And actually, the more toxic you are, the worse you will feel. But you need to go through this process. It's like you need to take a step backwards to get better. And you will have what are called detox symptoms. It's actually, if you Google the Herxheimer reaction, it's exactly what you're experiencing. And Herxheimer is the dying off of bad bacteria. So in your gut, you have a lot of bad bacteria, particularly in the upper gut. And this is as a result of eating sugar and having these toxins in our upper gut. And you need to be able to get these out of our body. And as we stop feeding them, as we stop eating sugar, they die off. And when they die off, they release toxins. And it's those toxins that make us feel unwell. So you might get a headache, you might have a lot of brain fog, you might feel a bit achy, even a bit fluey, you might get skin flare-ups. It all sounds very attractive, doesn't it? But it's short-lived. I know some people that don't have any symptoms at all. I've had some clients that have symptoms for the whole 21 days. It really does vary. When I first did it, I had a cracking headache for 48 hours and then it went, and then I was fine after that. So that's kind of the initial thing that you experience. But then afterwards, or by the end of it, you will experience some weight loss. I've had people lose up to 2 stone in 21 days. And this is because a huge amount of toxins in their body coming out. You will have a really settled digestive system. You will feel really clean from head to toe. And any digestive disorders that you've had, any stomach cramps, you will find that they all settle down completely. You will have greater mental clarity. So you'll feel really clear-headed and really sharp. And those words that you can't quite access suddenly are there for you, which is just wonderful. You will feel more energized. You will feel full of energy and wanting to rush around doing lots of different things, which is just wonderful. And the other thing that you will feel is you'll just feel happy. This sort of real feeling of happiness, which is just really wonderful. I do remember when I first did it, I felt like I'd gone back 20 years in my life. I felt 20 years younger. So that's what happens at the end. But then what happens after that? So after 21 days, I don't just drop you in the abyss and say, ta-da, have a good life. No, this is really just the start. So a lot of people get quite nervous when they get to the end because they're all thinking, I want this to continue forever. I feel so fabulous. What do I do now? What do I do now? So some people are fine. They go their merry way and they might do this program once or twice a year. Some people continue with some of the supplements. There are some of the supplements that they really like that they continue with. And some people that want to lose weight in particular will continue with some of the supplements if they want to lose more weight. I recommend that my clients continue with what I call a paleo keto lifestyle, which is really what you've been eating on this diet. It's a paleo ketogenic diet. And I recommend that we continue with this so that the mitochondria are using fat as an energy source, which makes us feel so much better in the world. And the other thing it will make us do is it makes us sleep better. Because the reason why we have disturbed sleep is generally because we become hypoglycemic in our sleep. So if we're constantly getting these highs and lows of blood sugar because we've got sugar in our diet, when we go to bed, we become hypoglycemic, which means that glucose drops out of our blood our brain panics and sends off a shot of adrenaline, and that wakes us up. So when we're having a PK lifestyle, we don't get these highs and lows, so we sleep very peacefully. One thing I recommend my clients to get is a ketone meter, so you can measure whether you are actually burning fat as an energy source or you're burning carbohydrate. We try and keep people in a fat burning way of living. And then there are many more tips that I can then feed to you afterwards, such as, do you go organic or don't you go organic? How about sprouting some of our vegetables that we have, some of our seeds, and how this can release huge antioxidant properties? What about essential vitamins and minerals that we should be having in our diet? What about fighting viruses and how we can, particularly with COVID on the agenda at the moment, how can we keep ourselves at bay from COVID and other viruses? Should we go gluten or not? What sort of water should we be drinking? Should it be from the tap? Should it be from the bottle? How should we be drinking water? What about fasting? How important is fasting, and should we be doing that as well? And what about oils? How do we cook with oils? What oils should we be cooking with, or should we not be cooking with any oils at all? So these are many more things that should be discovered really after you've done the program. For me, the program is really a kickstart into super good health and then maintaining your health thereafter. So I've talked for a lot. I hope you've taken that in. You're probably all brain boggled, but hopefully you've enjoyed that. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and hand back to Nick.
Andrea, thank you ever so much for that. As always, super interesting. As you're the host, can you just take everybody off mute? Because I'm sure we'd all like to give you a sort of the traditional, although we're on a Zoom environment, I'm sure we'd all like to give you a traditional round of applause as we would do if we were in a room. Thank you very much.
There we go.
There we go, thank you.
Brilliant. I have managed to do that. Didn't know if I'd know how to do that. Unmute all, here we go.
Unmute all.
All participants are unmuted, but some of them are still muted. I think
No,
I've
well,
muted themselves.
hopefully you got some of the appreciation through there. So I've got a couple of questions here that there's no rest for the wicked, I'm afraid. Are you ready for these?
I am, yes.
Okay. The first one is, someone would like the recipe for the PK bread. Are you able to share that? So what I was going to suggest was, assuming you're happy to, if we say to people, if you, as well as the person that's asked, would like the recipe, again, if you put your email address in the chat, I'm sure that Andrea will make sure that that gets over to you in good time, so you can be enjoying your first slices at the weekend.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's two ways of making it. You can make it either into buns, or you can have it as a loaf. And in fact, I've just mastered the loaf, and it lasts very well for up to a week in the fridge. So you can have a couple of slices a day, and it's very, very tasty. There are a few things you can add to it. So you can add caraway seeds or fennel seeds or cumin seeds, make it a bit more tasty depending on your taste buds. So yes, very tasty. Good. I will do that, no problem.
Cool. So yeah, as I said, put the email in the chat privately, and we can get that to you. The next question is about the program itself. Someone asking, is it a group program, i.e. take a group of people through at the same time, or is it an individual program? It's
individual. So I work with people on a one-to-one basis. So they'll come to me and I just find out everything about them, because I like to work with people individually, because everyone deals with it differently. And there are some of the supplements which will be too much for some people, which we have to reduce. And some we need to up some of the other supplements. So I always work on a one-to-one basis. So there are kind of chat groups and Facebook groups where we can work together, so we can share ideas on a Facebook group. But generally, I'll work with people on a one-to-one basis.
Okay, good stuff. The next one is, where is it here? Oh, somebody's saying an autistic.
Oh, sorry, Nick, I've just muted you. Sorry, say that again, Nick.
Yeah. Someone's got an autistic family member and asking if the program may have a positive benefit on that front for an autistic person.
Yeah, absolutely. I have done quite a lot of work with autistic children and adults. And what we have found is that by following not necessarily the detox program, part of the detox program, but taking mainly sugar and adding in some other supplements into their diet has definitely had a positive impact on autistic behaviours. So yes, it will most certainly help with autistic children and adults. And even going along the list of that spectrum, children that are suffering from ADHD, learning difficulties, again, we've found that by following this program, that the symptoms of ADHD is also reduced. So most certainly will have a positive impact.
Okay. Good. A couple more coming in. Thank you for that. What about nuts, seeds and eggs? Also, how long does it typically take for a supplement to take effect?
So nuts, seeds and eggs, yes, you can have as many of those as you like. I know the lowest carbohydrate nuts are actually pecans and Brazil nuts, which is great because Brazil nuts is my favourite, so that's a yippee for me. So yes, definitely nuts, seeds and eggs, they're fabulous on the programme. How long does a supplement take to effect? It's pretty immediate. I have to say that one of the supplements, and sorry to be talking about excretion, but that really is what we're talking about here, is one of the supplements we take is green, and it's the one that's zinc and glutamine. It's a very high fibre supplement, and it comes in a sachet and you dissolve it in water and drink it. Within about 2 days, your poos do go green, which is quite frightening. Nobody warned me about this. And when it first happened to me, I was like, oh my God, what has happened to me? But yes, so they will get into your system straight away. It's immediate. And obviously, the more healed our gut is, the more effect our vitamins and minerals will have. If you've got a very unhealthy gut and you're taking a load of supplements, a lot of them will just be being excreted and won't be being absorbed. What we need to do is to heal the gut to increase its absorption ability, and then the vitamins and minerals that you are taking in are going to be getting into your system.
Thank you for that. And I did wonder why our branding was the colour it was. Now I know. Has anybody else got any questions that they would like to raise? Do you want to either put your hand up or unmute yourself and fire away? I've got one or two more, but I just want to give anybody or everybody the opportunity to chip in while we've got Andrea with us. Okay, well, I'll assume not, in which case I'll come to, I think it's the last one, which is probably the elephant in the room, Andrea, this one. What's the cost of the 21-day program?
So we have an initial consultation with me, which is £65. And for that £65, you get me for about an hour and a half, where I literally go through the detail of you. And then I also, in that cost, is included supporting you throughout the whole of the 21 days. So for £65, you get me kind of for 21 days, really, which is great value, I think. And then the actual cost of the supplements is £195 for the supplements. I know that sounds quite a lot, 260 quid. I think to get your health back and to feel much better, it's priceless. You can't put a price on your health. I try and equate it to people. How much money do you spend on wine in 3 weeks? How much money do you spend on going out for coffee in 3 weeks? You know, how much money do you spend on calorie-rich and processed foods over a 3-week period? You're taking that all out of your diet for 3 weeks, and I think, you know, £260 is great value to make you feel fabulous.
Yeah, and of course the other thing which people will see is they're buying into your hugely in-depth knowledge of this subject area, of which I know from working with you, although you've wowed us for half an hour, there's so much more that you know and so much more that you're learning as well. So
Yeah, brilliant.
I think you're right, and I agree with everything that you've said. I'm just looking at the clock, and it looks like we've timed this to perfection. So I don't think there are any more questions. If I've missed anybody out, then wave your hands frantically and I'll come to you. But if that's all of them, then I'll do a bit of a wrap up just for a minute. And obviously that's to thank you all for your time today. I know even though a lot of us are at home, it's still a busy time. So thank you for finding time this lunchtime to be with us. As Andrea alluded to, we will probably do one or two more of these in the future. And we may well sort of give a little bit more of a focus in particular areas, and one might be how gut health can help with viruses and the body's response to that. Andrea is very, very diligent at adding really useful hints, tips and pieces of know-how on the subject of microbiome, gut health, healthy well-being, etc. to her Facebook page. So if you haven't followed or liked that, I recommend highly that you do, and just go onto Facebook and search for Belly Brain Solutions, and you will see the logo that is sitting behind Andrea on your screen, and follow the page to stay up to date with the latest thinking in this subject. And I think the other thing as well is sort of be a disciple, help spread the message about positive gut health and the ability to change people's lives for the better. I know from the research I've done, this subject is all over the American media. It's massive over there. And as we all know, for better or for worse, what starts off over there eventually comes over here. And Andrea is very, very much at the forefront of this work, and it's only going to become more popular. You're going to hear more about it. So remember where you heard it from and who you heard it from first. Andrew, I guess I should throw back to you to remind people or tell people of your contact details if they want to get in contact with you, which of course they may prefer to do that rather than the other way around. So how do people contact you?
Yeah, so obviously via my email, which is andrea@andreabremner.co.uk. So that's one way of getting hold of me. If you wanted to get hold of me through Facebook, then obviously Belly Brain Solutions, or you can privately message me through Facebook if you don't want everyone else to see what you're commenting on. Just go to Facebook. Or I have a website, which is andreabremner.co.uk. You can go to that website. There's a lot of information in there, and there's a contact page there as well. So you could contact me through the website too. So they're the sort of main three methods of getting hold of me.
Good stuff. I'm not sure if you've seen, but Deborah has put a nice comment in the chat box. Can you see that, Andrea?
I can't, no.
I have done the 21-day program health-wise. I've come off a lot of medication, saved a lot of money, and also feel fantastic.
Brilliant.
There you go. Okay. I think on that fantastic and positive note, unless you think I've missed anything off, Andrea, I think we'll thank everybody again. I'm sure you want to add your thanks to that.
Yeah, thanks very much everyone for listening in. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'm here when you need me, and hopefully we'll be doing another one of these, so I'll get to see you again soon.
Brilliant. Thanks, Andrea. Thanks, everybody, and enjoy the rest of the day and what looks like a very warm and welcoming weekend on the way. Thank you very much. Bye now.
Thank you much, Nick. Thank you.
Have a lovely time, darling.
I will do. And thanks, Nick, for that. That was wonderful. Brilliant.
It's okay. If we quit this and then just go back into a Zoom and just have a quick debrief.
Okay, I'll come
All
out.
right.
Then. Okay.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Nick.
Bye.
Thanks, Deborah.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.